And boom goes the dynamite. Well, today is June 15th, 2026. And it is my fourth day of the video challenge. And I am happy to be here. I am not, man, just kind of feeling a lot of stuff today. A lot of anxiety. I don't even know where it comes from sometimes. Some days I just wake up and I feel a lot of anxiety. But what I have noticed is that if I just immediately start doing something, it tends to go away. So I'm glad I have this challenge. It was actually a challenge to sit down and get started, just because of that feeling. But as I get started and start talking, then I don't know. It just kind of I don't know if it goes away so much as my attention just gets redirected on more productive things. So yeah, I didn't really have a whole lot to say today, but just kind of something of note. I live in Kansas City, which is the Midwest of the United States, and we have a lot of severe weather that can come through. Last couple of years we haven't really had that much, but this year it seems like it's been quite a bit. And so Saturday night we had severe thunderstorm warnings that eventually turned into a tornado watch. So a watch is where there's the potential for tornadoes. So kind of, stay connected, stay present. And then that eventually turned into a tornado warning. And so a tornado warning is when a funnel cloud has actually been spotted in somewhere nearby. And we ended up having 3 funnel clouds spotted in kind of the surrounding Kansas City area. I don't know if they did any real damage or not. But as I was sort of dealing with everything you need to deal with when there's tornado warnings going on, I started to realize that Kansas City is one of the cities where we're hosting some of the World Cup games, which is really awesome. And I have lived in several foreign countries and I've traveled in a lot of other ones. And so I really love the fact that we are having some international guests in our city, our fair city here. But I'm sure they weren't really prepared for tornadoes all of a sudden. And in fact, the next day I read up in the paper that the England team had just arrived that morning in Kansas City. They happen to be using Kansas City as sort of their base camp, because they have games that they have to play in 3 separate cities. And so Kansas City is very central. It can be used as a base camp, or it's very central. So it's easy to take flights all over the country, wherever you need to go. In fact, it's often referred to as the heart of America, although geographically, I don't think that's absolutely accurate, but it's pretty close, right? So yeah, they had just gotten in earlier that day, and they were, mixing it up with the fans, and they had a nice reception. They got in. They were taking a look at the practice fields that they were going to be using, and 5 hours later, they were being told to get back into shelter. because of the tornado warnings. You know, there's a lot of fans too. There's a lot of international fans that have come to Kansas City, and there was a big fan fest. And I talked to somebody the next day, and they said, "Yeah, we were at this fan fest, and they were being told, you know, hey, we got to shut it down because of the tornado potentials, right? Potential for tornadoes." And there were a lot of international guests, and they were like, What's a tornado? What are you guys talking about?" And I feel bad for those people because, yeah, tornadoes are absolutely deadly. They are deadly. They very rarely hit a big city. Cities tend to have, I don't know if it's because of how the tall buildings interact with the winds and also kind of the heat bubble. But the tornadoes tend to go around big cities, right? But it's not unheard of. And so, yeah, I was just feeling for all those international fans that came to Kansas City, and suddenly they're continuing with tornadoes. And there's a really old film called The Wizard of Oz, where a young Kansas girl gets scooped up by a tornado and taken off to the fantastical land of Oz. And when she sort of comes to and she looks around, she's talking to her little dog that's with her, and she says, "I don't think we're in Kansas anymore." And so people use that joke. They use it in all kinds of movies and TV shows, and I mean, it was even in The Matrix where he says, "Buckle up, Dorothy, you're not in Kansas anymore," or because Kansas is going bye-bye. And but in this sense, it was to all those international visitors, oh, by the way, you are in Kansas. And yeah, tornadoes are real. Kansas and Missouri. And in case you don't know, Kansas City is a city that is built on the border of two states, the state of Missouri and the state of Kansas. Kansas City gets its name, and the state of Kansas gets its name from a native tribe who was there prior to Europeans ever showing up. The Kansan tribe, and so there's also the Kaw River, and the Kansas. So Kansas City actually existed before the state of Kansas. The state of Kansas was formed later, and it took its name from the same tribe. And so that confuses a lot of people. You have Kansas City, Missouri, which is the bigger city, and then Kansas City, Kansas, which is on the state line. We literally have a road in town called State Line Road, and State Line Road follows the state line. So on one side of the road on the eastern side of the road is Missouri, and on the western side of the road is Kansas. It's not really that big of a deal anymore. But it used to, there used to be some real, you kind of had to watch out, back in the 70s when they were still really enforcing the liquor laws very stringently in Kansas. People would come over to Missouri to buy liquor on Sundays or whatever, and go over to Kansas, and the police, if they caught you, they'd write you a ticket. So, but nowadays it's not really that big of a deal. But yeah, well, glad to have the World Cup here. Sorry you all had to deal with tornadoes on your trip here. But nevertheless, welcome to the heart of America. And on that, I'm gonna end this one for today. So I hope that you are all having a great day. And if for whatever reason you're not feeling well, just start doing something. Just go out and take a walk. I know it's hard. It's hard for me. But every time I do it, every single time, I just start to do something, I feel better. So hopefully you're not having those kind of feels. Hopefully you're having a great day. And wherever you are, take care, and I'll see you tomorrow.